Next, I'd like to introduce you to a gentleman that Phil Edholm told me about and suggested that I really needed to invite him to be on our show. Fred Sotcher is an excellent modeler. And Fred, thank you so much for being here this evening. I really do appreciate your time. And I'm looking forward to hear from you and see your model railroad.
Yep. Thank you. So I'm brand new to model railroading, as is obvious here. My name's Fred Sotcher. I welcome any remarks or any comments that you have because I'm new to this. I'm 84 years old, so I felt I shouldn't get too ambitious. I just getting started with the quotes. I'm a woodworker primarily. I make furniture and things, and I have a very complete woodworking shop. But I couldn't have any students over during the last year or two, and I didn't have anything much more to do, so I thought I'd go into model railroad and see what I could find out there. So it's an HO scale, DCC controlled, early 20th century, kind of a freelance theme. It's 7 by 13 feet. It's on a tabletop with casters and lift-off doors. I made it with a 3/4 inch plywood base and 2-inch insulation board over it. Maximum grade's about 2.5 degrees. It's 40 inches off the floor. And it's a controlled system with a NCE and a CTI computer system. Oops, wrong way. So this is my layout. It's sitting in the garage right now. As you can see, it's all on casters. It has, these are all the doors lift off so I can get in underneath. And on one end here, there's a computer screen with the mouse and the keyboard. And on the computer screen, I have my code that's written for it, displays of the different items on it, and a layout of the train layout, and then a set of buttons that let me operate different functions on the layout. This is some of the computer modules. Instead of putting them underneath, they're behind one of the doors on the thing, so I can get to it more easily. As I'm sure a lot of you realize, as you get older, it gets more and more challenging to climb around underneath the darn thing. So I tried to put it all out where I could get to it. The other doors hold cabinets and things for various parts. Okay, on the layout itself, there's it's all laid out. It's all CNC or DCC, I meant to say. It's in blocks, so I can. The train knows if there's a train in the block ahead of it. There's signals that indicate that to it. These are all controlled by servos, and I took and put little LEDs on the gates that flash back and forth. Oops. And this part of the farm area, and then I scratch built the farmhouse and the barn. My wife was brought up on a farm, so this is a scratch built. Yeah, I used her farm as a prototype for the house and for the barn, and for a lot of the outbuildings. In the town, this is some of the residential area. All the houses and structures are illuminated primarily with LED lighting or with these tiny little lights. I forget what they're called right offhand, but anyway, the main town area is mostly scratch belt. Some of them are, a couple of them are models. I think that's a model, and oh yeah, that's a model over there. But the rest of them are all scratch belt, and a lot of the vehicles are scratch belt. Oh, there's a church and a little wedding party leaving the church here. And then I made a play yard next to the school that has a swing set and some people flying kites and kids playing baseball. And then some of the older kids are out by the pond. Some of them are swimming, some are underwater swimming. Some are coming by on boats and doing various things little older kids like to do. And then some of the older folks in town are preserved in this area. Then in the lighting, a lot of the grain of wheat lights, what I'm trying to think of, I blocked off certain areas in the buildings so that all the windows aren't lit up at one time. And and then in the back behind the town area, there's a creek that runs through, and there's fishermen that finding good fishing in that area. In the residential area, there's people that have gathered for a house party that's going on. Most of the houses are scratch belt. I think this is one exception here, but most of the other ones are scratch belt. And this is the one train terminal with the people getting ready for the next train coming in. The bridge is all scratch belt, and the railroad signals indicate when the train's coming by, which is all controlled by the computer. I illuminated the passenger cars with LED lighting, but I found the LED light is way too bright, and as you can see in this case, so I later added resistors to drop the lighting level down to a little more reasonable level. And inside I put in seating and passengers, which you can't tell from this picture. And then I added a number of tunnels, and the facing of the tunnels are again scratch belt from poplar. And then there's some good old boys by a still pot up in the hills up there, making some hooch. And then there's a fire which is LED lit. They're changing it random yellow and red lighting to simulate a fire condition. And there's an old house up there, which my son, as soon as my son saw it, he said, "That's going to be my place," because there's no road leading to it. You got to hike over the mountain to get to the cabin. And there's a number of fellows working in the mine, providing some coal to keep the trains running. And elk and deer up on the hillside. My only bridge is this little scratch belt bridge, and another fisherman. And I recently finished a scratch belt water tower to serve the locomotives. And then I started a fair in town. See if I can get it to work here. With a number of items on it. See if I can get this to play here. This is one of them. This is it's magnetically controlled. It's got two magnetic coils in it that when the car passes over it, it triggers a circuit, and the second magnet operates the device back and forth. I can. this to play here. And this is the Carnival as it is now. I made a boat ride and a Ferris wheel and a air ride behind it. These are all solenoid or servo control. I created a fairly simple little servo control program that lets me operate all of the devices. And then one of the advantages of the servo control program is that I can make them start and stop as passengers get on and off, and I control each one separately. And they're fairly inexpensive, fairly simple to operate. Here's another little shot of it. I got the boat ride going a little too fast, I think. I think I get people busy on it. There's a area in the middle where I have weightlifters and different performers people are watching. And then there's a picnic area, and all the areas are all lit up with LED overhead lighting. And this is the MerryGoRound. That I scratch built. I bought one on eBay, and it looked too plasticky. I didn't care for it much, but I stole the horses off of it and used those in my little MerryGoRound. And then I made a boat ride, airplane ride rather, that spins. And a MerryGoRound. The MerryGoRound was mostly a kit. I modified it a bit. It came with really crummy, cheap plastic gears and things, and I replaced all that with direct drive and you can't see it here, I guess, but there's a chain drive that goes around, and again, it's servo operated. And then we since this was built there last year, my wife came up with a name for it. So I had a slow woodworking year, but a first year of my model railroading. And this is my granddaughter gave me models of my wife and myself waving goodbye. So that's how I spent my year, and I appreciate any feedback you have on it.
Well, guys, one of the things that so impressed me about what Fred has accomplished is Fred is my age, or 1 year older than I am. And what you've seen and what he's talked about took him 1 year. Now, granted, Fred's retired, but it just shows you what can be accomplished in model railroading if you really spend the time and the effort to learn it and build it. Fred, I think you've done a magnificent job. I'm really impressed with what you've accomplished in a year in your model railroad.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I've had fun with it and enjoyed meeting people, although, you know, I have never been to a meeting and never met anybody personally, except over the internet because of the coronavirus issues. But I look forward to that.
Phil was telling me you've also shown your model railroad to some people out there in his region, and they are so impressed with what you've accomplished and wish you the very best and hope that you keep on model railroading.
Well, thank you. Thank you very much.